something that I saw or noticed, Mkhulu Tambo passed away, with what Bishop Makamu and Moja Love was doing, particularly how they were phrasing the subject matter of God's calling and so forth. I wanted to talk about it here, and I wanted to hear your thoughts about it. It's important the conversation continue. It's the Rex Reality Show with the daily Christian commentary videos. If it's the first time over here, do be sure to check out the other videos that are down in the pinned comments, and I'm going to check you out over there. Now, I want to first start by noting that there was a statement that Moja Love posted. And the statement that they posted was this one right here. And I'll come back to that statement. But also at the same time, there was a video. Okay. So there was a video that was going out there on social media, which is this one right here. And on that video, Bishop Makamu can be heard stating certain things as a calling. And I wanted us to get clarity on some of these things, or come a bit into this particular subject so that you can hear where am I going with this thing. So, first of all, what did Bishop Makamu say in this video? So if you go back a little bit and you kind of listen in on how he phrases.
But God can call you. Go to have your legal labantu. Bamangalo ngale wisdom onayo uyithatha ubizo bantwana benkosi ungavale umsebenzi yonke into uthi uzama yonke into ivale ngoba uNkulunkulu ufuna ukualign to the calling. Okay, so right there Bishop Makamu says things cannot work. You can go all places and things don't work, but because God wants to align you to a calling in short term, and then so that ungatholi ithuba loku exercise the profession. Ungakhola ngakufaka ngisho nasebhayibhelini uNoah was called by God. Kuthi azokwakha into engakazi bekhona. Kanjalo noMathambo was called by God. Kuthi ezinto engakazi yenziwe emhlabeni. So right there he says, the same way Noah was called to come and start something that had never been seen before, Matambo had a calling as well to do something that had never been seen. So that's how he kind of phrases that. To go around, assist abantu, abashiwa abantu in the name of helping them, then they are ripping them off. Okay, so you can hear the context. That video was posted by Selo, so you can see it on her channel over there. So Bishop Makamu is very clear to him that he sees Ubungoma as a calling from God, particularly, not just the ancestors and so forth. Now, if we go into Hebrews chapter number 6, it says that, therefore let us move on beyond the elementary teachings of Christ and be taken forward to maturity. And then he lays out the doctrines. He talks about, instruction in cleansing rites and all these things. So the things that Amasangomas would teach and all those things, the idea of what do we believe about when people die and eternal judgment, the laying on of hands. He says, we will come to this understanding if God permits. And so we will have a unified idea or teaching about the callings of God permits. But unfortunately, we might not all agree. Okay? But the conversation should continue. So if Hebrew puts it like that, what is the calling of God? Because if we go to the statement that was put out by Moja Love, or if we look at the statement that was put out by Moja Love here, Moja Love's statement, quite an interesting one, because they phrase it the same way. They say, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that so and so. So basically they phrase Umgoma as the same thing, calling from God, right? And so but they are using the wrong verse, because yes, he is a man within that sense, but then to phrase
to go into that verse and say, you know, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. So it's a specific, the word begotten son that is used in that verse. Of course, they use this only son, you know, so they just, but anyways. So my point being there, because they haven't used the begotten son part of the verse, it removes the true meaning of the verse, which is Jesus being a unique. Okay, the word begotten that is used there, it's unique. It means it's separate, it's different. You can't use it on everybody or thing. But if we go back into the Bible, in Ephesians, the Bible tells us this. In Ephesians, he says, okay, if we put up Ephesians right there, he says, and he who descended is the one who ascended. Verse 11 there says that God gave some to be apostles, prophets, some to be evangelists, and some to be pastors and teachers. Okay? To equip the saints for works of ministry. It's very particular. For works of ministry and for the building of the body. Okay? So it's very particular to what exactly they'll be doing. Okay? Hebrews says that we'll now come to a point of discussion and actually trying to find out which ones, how do we go about subject matters of ritual rites and all these things. We'll come to this discussion board. We'll come to this discussion on these particular topics. But we must come to maturity in those topics. And how do we know of those things? The Bible then puts it out here that he gave some people to be apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, teachers, so that he can equip these people are put there. These are the callings of God, to equip the body. So we are not ill-equipped. We are ready to in understanding of dispense of how to dispense the information, particularly about what God's calling is. You don't just label whatever you want as God's calling. The Bible has a particular of what God's calling is. And for me, I don't know, do we keep just phrasing whatever we want as a calling, while the Bible tells us which ones are the callings? It's apostles, it's evangelists, and they are doing so for the work of the ministry. Don't forget that part. Ne? It says the saints for ministry work. Ministry work. For ministry work. These are the callings that God has put forward. But a lot of people have their own version. Do we then apply our own? Okay? If Hebrew says, once we have dealt with subject matters of maturity, okay, we come to an agreement. We may come to an agreement of what exactly was the calling. And how to think about ritual cleansings and the laying on of hands and stuff like that. And judgment, eternal judgment. So these particular topics that the Bible covers, we won't have two different views. We will have one view on them. Because there is a structure that God has put forward, and that structure helps equipping the body. Not just everything is a calling. But y'all tell me what you think. Maybe it's just me. Maybe just me alone. What do you guys think about this particular, the phrasing that's put forward by Moja and Bishop Makamu? Is there a particular, or now we can just label anything? I want to, let's have that conversation down in the comment section. We should not get tired of the conversation, because in that conversation, some people may find help. Bazalwani, not everything that you want can just label out. If he says go ye and teach, Matthew chapter number 20, what is it, 28? Go ye and teach the world to follow after the doctrine that Christ had taught. We can't come with our own doctrine and then say, yeah, no, this is God's calling, which is far away from what is we teach his way. But hey, people are now applying it whichever way. What's going on in South Africa? It's Ricky. I thought, let me ask the question and hear from you guys.